Marvel Rivals Season 6 is here, and it brings my second most hoped for hero, Deadpool. Just Deadpool. I didn't notice anyone else. Okay, fine, they added Cosmo. Deadpool! I'm actually really excited to make this guy. Him and Daredevil were the big two characters I really wanted to see in the game. Honestly, I'm just surprised that I got them this soon. To be fair, they're pretty popular characters, but I just didn't expect them within a year of the game being released. If not added initially. I just thought they'd add different characters. Like, they already did the Fantastic Four, and we had Emma and Ultron, and I was like, oh, okay, well, it's gonna be a while until I get Daredevil, because it's like, there's all these other characters. No, we got them. If I'm actually being honest, though, I thought for sure that we'd get Deadpool as, like, the next hero added to the game before it released, after they did the Wolverine trailer back in 2024, before the game came out. I think that's just because Deadpool and Wolverine had just come out, so I was kind of hoping they'd try and, like, ride off of the popularity of that. But, if I'm being real, I'm kind of happier with this. Now, not only do we get Deadpool, but now we get a whole season revolving around him. And they never could have made him as, like, unique as they've made him now if they had just thrown him into the game on release. That would have been crazy. Now I can be satisfied with the Rivals roster, since it has all my favorite Marvel characters. Spider-Man, Daredevil, I like Deadpool too, I guess. Of course, there are other heroes I'd like to see, but these were the main ones. I'd really like to see Captain Marvel. That's a big one. Sentry would be really awesome. A DPS She-Hulk would be...
It's Deadpool's turn to
How'd you
shine.
get that? You're not even supposed to be
about
in the
to
thing. Get out!
wade in.
Go! Okay. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted. When making the eyes, I had the thought to myself, these would actually be really cool Spider-Man lenses. So I drew this little proto-image. Then I added webbing for fun. After adding the actual eyes, I move on to the bodysuit. This one's actually really annoying for me to do because I didn't want to separate the red on the legs from the torso, so it looks more like the actual suit. I just don't want the seam line. There's some cuts where I don't know how I even managed to just eyeball it if sizing it like correctly or not. This is one of those cuts. The technique I typically use is just to take the removed pieces of the cut and put them together separately over the other colored fabric. Then, usually when it's pinned down, I can attempt an accurate cut. Sometimes if the pieces I have are curved in some sort of way, I need to overlap them a bit, or else it's just too big. At this point, I realized I was forgetting something. He has a jacket.
Careful or we're gonna get it from behind. Wink.
Why do I keep just letting him interrupt
Looks
me?
like
I'm letting
we've
him
got
take
ourselves a
over this
party.
part to be a pervert.
It was just business. Okay, and a little pleasure.
Get out of here. Anyway, I'm forgetting the jacket. I was gonna make this before the bodysuit, but if I'm being real, I just wanted to clothe the guy. When it comes to detailing the actual jacket, it's very straightforward. Frankly, I just don't have a lot to say about it. What I would like to talk about, though, is Deadpool in the actual game. I think overall I like him. He can be fun. But if I'm being honest, I usually get bored after like 3 or 4 rounds. But that's also just kind of how I feel about the game right now. Because like, it's just terrible. The game is just terrible right now, I'm gonna be so real. But comparing him to my favorite hero they've added, which was easily Daredevil, I lorded him in like 2 weeks. He was a lot of fun. I know to some 2 weeks isn't that fast, but if you're one of those people who doesn't think it's that fast, then you need to shower. Like immediately. You know, somehow some people still don't even have Lord on any characters. And I mean specifically the people who have been playing the game since launch and don't have a Lord. I can get playing since launch and not having like a champion. I think having champion is completely pointless. While speaking on Lords in the game, Deadpool's Lord icon, I don't like it. Not a fan. Like straight up, I just don't like it. I've heard some people who do. I've heard most people that do actually. And I wanted to be one of them, but man, it isn't it for me. I like the Lord icons being really cool, like Daredevil, Venom, Angela, Thor, Iron Man, Moon Knight. Maybe a crazy take, but I would just say like my favorite Lord icon in the game is Angela's. I don't have it myself, I don't really like playing her, but man, it looks so cool. Every time I see it, I compliment the person with it. But, I mean, obviously, despite this, I'd still like to Lord Deadpool eventually. But his icon just isn't it for me. It's also just so different from everyone else's, which is clearly his whole deal in the game. Like, how can you have... Like, how have I not talked about the multi-role thing yet? I think that's pretty cool. Now I can just play him whenever I want, however I want. The only issue I have with this is that because he's made for all roles, he doesn't really feel good in any singular one, or like he's specifically made to do that, even though like it changes his kit between roles. To be fair, I haven't seen a whole lot of discourse on it, and usually when I do, I just stop reading pretty quick, but that's mainly because I try to avoid the Rivals community as much as possible. Y'all are so annoying. You guys are the reason the game is bad right now. So much constant fighting over everything, horrible takes and opinions, constant whining between roles, throwers, good god, throwers, people who just can't recognize when they're doing bad. Like, I played a game before I recorded this, and I had this, like, Angela on my team. She went 4-4. The rest of the team were all, like, in the 20s. She's got 4 kills, and she's like, yeah, it's GG's, it's over, guys. Bro, you're the problem. You're the issue. Like, some people say, like, oh, that's throwing. I wouldn't necessarily call that throwing. I mean, it is throwing, but it's also, like, I don't know, when I hear throwing, I think of, like, oh, it's a very deliberate thing that, like, somebody is going out of their way to do. This person was just an idiot. This person just didn't pay attention at all. This person just couldn't accept that they were the bad guy. And I face that a lot. Like, I wouldn't necessarily call it throwing to just be bad at the game, or be doing bad, but then they can't recognize it, and they blame everyone else. This Angela, she swapped to Penny, too, which you would think, like, oh, okay, she swapped to a different tank. She still sucked. She kept, like, just running into the fight when the healers were dead, and staggering the team. Or, like, I saw this comment on TikTok, which really, like, put it in perspective for me, is because I play a lot of quick play, because I don't want to play the game and sweat. I want to just be able to play the game and have fun, but I can't have fun when I'm going on, like, an 8-game loss streak, because I keep getting teammates who just don't even try to play the game. Like, I get teammates who are going, like, 0-3 by the end of the match. I'm like, how? Where were you? I saw one TikTok comment, this really alarmed me, it was this person and they were like, oh yeah, all quick play is to go in and throw and not do anything. I'm like, bro, no wonder my teams suck. No wonder my games are trash. And then there's the gooners. Don't get me started on these guys. The people who just constantly sexualize everything in the game with their obnoxious band kid humor that screams they've never interacted with the opposite sex before in any romantic way ever. Like the guys who just like, they spend all their time commenting Jeff GIFs under TikToks and playing in Times Square doing dances. Like genuinely, how do you log on and do like emotes for 2 hours? And then get off the game, or go into quick play and throw. Anyway, I think that not being comfortable in one specific role just comes down to me being bad. I really haven't played a lot of them. I just know everybody talks about how good of a tank and healer pool are, but me personally, I've played the most DPS pool. Which I know some people think I'm stupid for, but I just like his Lord icon move. It's fun. I think it's a fun kit. And I know his healer pool and DPS pool are like basically the same, but if I'm being honest, I just want to kill. And I'm not going to do a lot of healing if I'm killing. So, like, why take up a healer spot and make them think, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be useful, when I'm just gonna leave the other healer to solo heal. And that's it for Deadpool. Or is it? Obviously for my other Deadpool, I made his guns and swords, since those weapons weren't very hard to do. So I figured that since Deadpool is a character I like enough for this amount of effort to feel worth it, then I'm going to make these ones too. I make the swords in the exact same way as I made the ones last time. You know, doing this really makes me realize that I totally could have given characters like Psylocke and Magic their weapons and just chose not to. I suppose I may go back later on when I finish making everyone else. I suppose I could always just go back and make them later on when I finish making everybody else. The reason I typically don't make the weapons though is because, to be honest, I just don't really enjoy it. Which I think is a little odd because ultimately it just makes them better and they look a lot better with the weapons. But I think it's because usually when I make them, they turn out too big or too bulky and not the shape that I want. And they can't have like edges because it's felt. I've spent years honing my craft on human beings that any other thing that I try to make is just a complete failure. Like take my Jeff for example. Not my best work. Not my worst either. But they can't all be losers. Or winners. Winners and losers. Winners at losing. They're all 4th place. Albeit, it did take me a while to get this good at people. And even then, I'm changing so much that when I see a body I made like maybe 6 months ago, I'm disgusted by it. I don't even think I really got consistently good at making it until recently with making all these Rivals characters. Doing this project of making the game's roster has genuinely improved my ability way faster than I'd ever expected. Like, my absolute Batman never would have been that good if it hadn't been for me pushing myself with these guys. I also really like that I can kind of cheat in the editing process by putting their game intros as their title cards here. Mostly unrelated, but I thought of it. I wanted to mention it. I also just like using their intro title cards to like go into the game before I start like editing a video and screen record all of their intros, and then I have it there, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's like, here's everyone I need to edit. Cause I've pretty much almost finished the game by now. Like, I'm gonna trickle out videos for the next couple months, just really milking all of these guys, but like, all I have to do right now is Hela, Loki, and Thor. Like, I'm so close. I'm in the home stretch. And then they release a character every month, which is why I'm doing this video. And you know, after trying to get the 2 season heroes out, I kinda don't know if I'm gonna do one for next season. Especially if I don't care as much, it might come out later. Anyway, now Deadpool is finished. He turned out really well. I really love the red material that I used, and I think the Sharpie shows up really well on it. Plus the gunmetal black paint was a nice touch. You know, the weapons was a good call. For the body cutout, I actually have a full body ready as opposed to doing the boobs and butt after. This is because my friend commissioned a Hela off of me, and I loosely used her as reference for Elsa's base, so I was able to translate what I'd already done on Hela to Elsa. Because usually I'd wait till after the fact to do it, since I don't know how exactly their body is going to turn out to be like comparable to their special areas. And the needle broke. My needle is broken. Luckily I bought a new pack like a while ago. However, I bought quilting needles instead of actual sewing needles, so these are incredibly small and hard for me to use. So I used it to finish the body because I think it would be weird to leave it as it is now. Then, the next day, I'd go out and I'd actually get needles I can use. Maybe if I'm angry and punishing myself, I'll use these one day. Unlike Angela and Luna, I actually did know who Elsa was before she was added to the game. Albeit because of that Werewolf by Night special that they made, like in 2022, that I guess they just forgot about. But knowing is still knowing. I wonder if we'll ever see her again. I always hear people talk about a Midnight Suns movie, and, you know, maybe she'd be in that. She'd be a good character for it. But I've literally never heard anyone over at Marvel Studios mention that, ever. Or, like, even the concept of bringing her back. So, I'm led to believe it won't happen. Especially since we're just ignoring all the characters who are in it. I'm really disappointed we're ignoring so many of those characters from like that 2021 to 2024-ish era. Like Moon Knight, She-Hulk, the Eternals, but oh no, it's okay. Because Joaquin Torres is gonna be in Doomsday. We keep him. Does anyone care about him? He's not even bad. I just like, does anyone care? Wonder Man just came out. We're never going to see Wonder Man again. I'm going to tell you that right now. Yeah, people really liked Wonder Man. Wonder Man was really good. I really liked Wonder Man. I would love to see him come back. We're never going to see him again. I think with the way that series is structured and how that works, it's kind of fair to be a one and done. Like, I don't think it's bad, but I would love to see him pop up again and maybe get like more of his powers and his whole deal. And like, oh, is he a mutant? Oh, he is? Shocker. You know, I wish we could revisit those characters. Anyway, this is the Elsa part of the video. Did you hear me bang my desk? I did again. So, you guys want to hear her origin? She's got 2. Elsa's character is actually nearly as old as Spider-Man's, having been around since the ancient year of 2001. She was introduced in Bloodstone, issue number 1. Now, her father Ulysses Bloodstone was already a character having existed in Marvel since 1959. He's got his own deal with his own origin, but he essentially does the exact same thing as Elsa, which is hunt monsters. And damn it, he does that. But in Elsa's comic, she comes in and she's the estranged daughter of Ulysses. In this comic, Elsa is around a teenager age and her mom doesn't want her to have anything to do with her dad. By the way, he's dead. He died and they're going to get his stuff. But she ends up finding all his gear and gets her hands on the Bloodstone, which is the amulet that allows him to live for so long. He's been around for like 200 years, I think, or like something like that, maybe a little longer. I don't know the specifics. I didn't really research anything. This is all just the stuff that I knew. Anyway, she gets her hands on the Bloodstone, which she wears as a choker because I guess it was just the style of 2001. Her original design is actually in Rivals, but you played the game, so I'm sure you know that. Her series goes on for a while as like this Monster of the Week kind of deal. She has like a mentor-ish character, which is Frankenstein's monster. Or it's believed to be the Frankenstein's monster, but I don't think it's ever explicitly stated that it is. But I mean, he looks like it. But after this, she kind of vanished from comics for a bit. That is, until she was brought back in the series called Next Wave, Agents of Hate, which is exactly as corny as it sounds. It was a team comprised of a bunch of just straight up unknowns and one original character. This ran for around 12 issues from March of 2006 to 2007. Most of it was pretty forgettable, not a lot of people cared. But the common consensus was that Elsa was the standout. This series also is the one that gave Elsa her look she has now with the red hair and the orange suit. There was no explanation to it, they just changed it. It also just kind of adjusted her personality to be in line with the comic she was in. But that's another thing that stuck. Then, after a while, Secret Wars ended up happening. If you're not familiar with the comic event, Doom created Battleworld, which was comprised of several different universes smashed into one planet. You're going to be very familiar with that concept within the next year. I assure you. You probably haven't, this isn't even the first place you've probably heard it. I'm sure someone else has said it. Something not a lot of people mention about Battleworld is that there are layers to this. Like, there's this base level, I think 7 universes that the planet is comprised of, but that's just the surface. Under that is less desirable universes. One of those below worlds was Marvel Zombies. I'm sure you can imagine where this is going. So, one of the Secret Wars runs was a run focused on Elsa in the zombie world. As I understand it, she's traveling the world with a young child who, at the end, spoilers, is a younger version of her. But something in the comic that they decided to do was change her origin. Basically, as it goes, Elsa's father is terrible. The only thing he loves or cares about is monster hunting. So, from the moment she's born, she is forced to fight and kill monsters. Something else this origin explains is why she's a redhead. As it goes, she took a long time to kill a monster as a child. She killed it in such a messy way that the blood stained her hair. Instead of washing her hair, her father forced her to let it bleach her scalp to teach her a lesson. Which, me personally, that's too edgy for me. Just feels kind of try-hardy. But it is cool to get an explanation of something that I don't think a hell of a lot of people even cared about. I think of her 2 origins, the second one is definitely a lot more interesting. Now that I know her origins, and way more about her character history, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed we'll never see her again in the MCU, and that she has black hair. I also just think her comic costume kinda sucks. The Rivals version is a huge improvement. That's all the time I have for Elsa. She's done. Check her out. You like her? I like her. I think I should have done better on her hair, but besides her hair, I like her costume. I think she looks pretty good. That's it! The Marvel Rivals Season 6 heroes. I'm mostly happy with how these heroes turned out. Like I said, I feel like I could have done better on Elsa, but Deadpool's good. Look, I even did the weapons. I never do the weapons. I didn't do Elsa's weapons. I'd like to mention here at the end of the video that there are no official patterns for anything made in the video. Everything you see here was made completely freehanded with the exception of the body, of which is cut out using the basic body template that is modified in the cutting process. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching. Videos like this take a lot of time and effort to put together, so I really appreciate you watching till the end. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.